we're waiting on a few more people, but if you guys want to go ahead and pull up Google Docs, I will be working through something with you all, and it would be great if you would go through it as I am, okay? I'll explain more in a minute. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see what to open. Good question, Emily. So if you see here, this is Google Docs, right? There's a resume right here that says Serif. I want you guys to open that. We're going to be making resumes today. And let's see. I asked a lot of high schoolers around and about what they wanted to know, and they said they didn't know how to make resumes. So I thought I would go through that today with you. And then I'm actually going to have you send it to me by next Tuesday, and I will either give you pointers and tell you what to change or tell you you are good to go, okay?
This is important even if you aren't looking for a job currently, because you will need this to apply for some clubs, some scholarships, and college eventually.
Open it up, it should look like this. I'm just going to go ahead and get started since we are, I think actually, if you would please do the little reaction thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, so I think most of you had a thumbs up, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, go ahead, and I can't see any of you. So you're going to have to do the chat or shout out, okay? So in about, what is it? Today is Tuesday. So in a week, next Tuesday, your assignment will be to send me your filled out resume. Resumes are important because, as Adrienne already said, you'll need them for lots of different parts of life, not just jobs, and different types of jobs require them. So it's good to know how to do it so you're not floundering when you're trying to actually get a job right now, if that makes sense. So one thing I know, if you're not comfortable sending me, as you'll see here on the top right corner of the document, it says your name, your phone number, and your email. You do not have to send that part to me filled out with your personal information if you don't feel comfortable with that. That's totally fine. I'm not going to give your information away to anyone anyway, but
Hannah, why don't
yes.
we just have them make up an address so that they have it written there in the right way?
So I already went and filled one out a little bit to kind of show you what each part is. So here's an example of what it will look like. You have your name. We'll just do this together. First and last is important. Let's do a different font size. Okay, so a lot of you might not have, well, do any of you have a job already? Have you ever made a resume before? This is what I should have started out with. No. Okay, cool. Well, I have lots of tips. I've talked to a couple different people that have needed resumes before for job applications. So I know what to tell you. Experience. Because you haven't had a job yet, a lot of you haven't, you're not going to have a lot of experience to put down in that you've worked in different places. But what you do want to do is show that you have experience making like big decisions or leadership roles. So in here, let's say you've been in the theater club for a year or two in school, and you got to participate in more of a leadership position. So what you would put here is theater club. Typing is horrible. So then if you were in charge of any part of it at all, whether you helped with costumes or you helped put up posters for the show, like you could say you're part of recruitment. So let's go with the, so you would put costumes manager because you organized and like help put together some of the costumes. Then you would put when you did it, July 2020. Then right here, you would put a little description of what you did. It's important to show or list ways that you are that demonstrate that you have been responsible and you know how to work, whether it's been volunteer, coaching, teacher's aide, any respected role will get you like brownie points. Employers are ultimately looking for to see that you're a good person. So you know how to work, you have good grades, you're good with people, that kind of thing. So for costumes manager, you might say worked with students on creating costumes and organized my mind just went blank.
What about maintain props? Yeah.
Yeah, that works too. So right here, this shows that working with students on creating costumes shows that you're good with working with other people. Maintaining props shows that you are organized and that you are trusted enough to take care of something that's important. So it's little things in how you word it. And it's really, really stupid sometimes to try to figure out how to word it nicely like this. So here, the experience is where you would put those kind of things. I'm not sure what all you're interested in or what your experiences would be. I am into orchestra. I play the cello. So here I'm going to put Iola Orchestra, Iola Area Orchestra, Iola, Kansas. Then here I would put second chair cello. So if you're in band or something, this would be a good place to put your role, because if you're not in band, you might not know this, but like first chair shows, again, that you're responsible and you're dedicated because you take the time to practice a lot. You've shown that you can be there on time and that kind of thing. So that's what you would put down here. Okay, so is everyone good on the experience part? Like, do you know what you would put where? Can I see a thumbs up if you are good? If I need to give another example, give me like a 1. Everyone good? Okay, awesome. So what's the difference between that and skills, right? On skills, let's see here. Oh, I didn't do that part. Skills, you're going to put things, this is where I would ask someone that you trust. Like, I would probably go to my mom and say, hey, what do you think is a skill that I have? And she would say, like, you're really good at going up and introducing yourself to people, and like customer service kind of thing. So you would put works well with others, or to word it better, customer service kind of thing. For awards, this is where you would put, if you've gotten any awards in high school, if you're on the dean's list, that would be where you put it. If you were, try to keep it like high school level, and if you're like, once you get into college, you can make it college awards too. So like, if you were voted best student in the literature department, or most helpful student, it would be that kind of thing where you put it there. Definitely put things like if you're on the honor roll or the dean's list, because that also shows that you're dedicated and that you take the time with your education too, that it's important to you. Languages. This one, you all can put, I know you're taking a Spanish class with Upward Bound, so you can put beginner Spanish right here. For me, I do not know Spanish, but I know a good amount of sign language, so I can put beginner's level American Sign Language. Especially in the environment, the climate that today is, being bilingual is really important. It's something that will get you looked at more than just once in a lot of jobs where you need to have a resume. So make sure you put that there, even if it's just like, you know, some. Be honest about how much you know. Like, I could carry on a brief conversation. That's a beginner level. Because if you say, oh yeah, I'm great, I know, like, I could totally talk in paragraphs in this language or whatever, and then they're like, great, we're going to put you in this department, and you know, like 20, 30 words, it's not going to make a good impression, and you put yourself in a really sticky position. So definitely be careful. Just be honest. Just be honest for all of this. That's really important. Highlight your strengths. That's again where the skills would be. So let's see. The reason I had you guys do, my notes are not in order, I'm sorry. The reason I had you pick this format is because it is very simple and clean, and that's something that you want to make sure you keep too. If it's busy, like you have a lot of stuff on there, your like future employer is not, or your prospective employer is not going to want to like flip through and read that. It's not a good thing either. Here is where we're going to alter that. I have no idea what that line was. What we're going to make it is references. References are, anyone have a guess? References are 3 to 5 people that you've asked that will basically, your future employer can call and be like, hey, is this person professional? Would they be good in this kind of environment? And I hope you would pick 3 to 5 people that would be like, yeah, here's why this person is great. And they're really good at doing this thing. They're very reliable. They're always on time, that kind of thing. So your references, for your references, you don't really want to pick a family member, because then it would be implied that there's some bias. Your mom is always going to say you're great, okay? So try pick a band leader, a pastor. Pastors are really good references. But just make sure the person knows you well enough that they'd be able to give accurate reflections of your character, and that make sure you ask them or tell them when you put them on a reference list, because if they get an unknown number, I don't know about anybody else, but if I get a number and I don't have it in my contacts, I hit the red button. It's not worth it. They can leave me a voicemail if they want, but just that kind of thing. So I'm gonna put like my pastor is Ryan Wheeler. So give them their name and a way to contact. I've established how I know this person, pastor. So we'll just put 620, I don't know what his phone number is. You would put their phone number. Then you can put, if your reference is not okay with giving out their cell phone number, you can also put email. So I'm going to put Kathy Gordon is one of the art teachers out here at Neosho, art professor. Then I'm going to put her email, some variation of it. It's never bad if you want to include the phone number and email. So let's say. That way there's more than one way to contact your reference. Because if they can't get a hold of that person, I mean, it doesn't necessarily diminish your chances of getting the job, but it is very helpful to have those people that will vouch for you. Okay, so another level of references is having someone write you a reference letter. Basically, the reference letter is just already what your reference would tell the person, the prospective employer, on the phone or in an email, but it's written out in a sealed envelope, that kind of thing. So you can just have it with your resume and like stick it with there when you apply for a job, and then you've already got the reference there. The employer doesn't have to do a lot of extra work. Some places of employment will require a reference letter, and some will just require a list of references. That way they can kind of go through and choose who they want to call, like, or, oh, I already know Kathy Gordon. She is in the same, or she goes to the same park. We walk our dogs at the same time at the park, that kind of thing. So we already talked about this. Let's do education. So the most recent education that you've had always goes first. So I haven't graduated from Emporia State University yet, but I can still put it here. And I'm going to put here that I'm pursuing a degree. For you guys, most of you, I assume, it will be the name of your high school, Chanute, Kansas, and you are going to put pursuing high school degree. It's going to be probably pretty obvious. Well, not super obvious, I guess, what level you're in. So you would just put, you don't have to put the month there. You could put freshman or sophomore, junior, that kind of thing in there too. And then this down here then for your education would just be restating the, I am a freshman in high school pursuing a degree. I plan to stay here until I've gotten my degree. Okay. projects. This is going to be the same kind of thing, but different than what you've already put in your skills and experience. If you've had a big project that you worked on, so I don't know if any of you guys are in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, but your Eagle project, my brother is a Boy Scout, so I would know. This is the only thing I could come up with to put in here for the moment. Boy Scouts have to earn their highest achievement. They have to do a big service project. So my brother, for his Eagle Scout project, worked on a upkeep of a cemetery. So cemetery Eagle project. And then you would put where. So then down here, what he would put for his then was that he organized a group of people to come work for or do community service out here, cleaning up weeds, trimming bushes, repainting the fence, and I think they have a Jesus statue out there. They would repaint that, that kind of thing. Another thing that you could do for projects is, again, pretty much any really big thing that you've done that shows one of your strengths. So if you've done a big honors project, that would be something you could put there. If you've done a really big community service project, especially if you had leadership and involvement in that, that would be another place to put it here. If you can, it's not always possible, I know, but if it's something that you've made a YouTube video of, or made like a PowerPoint as part of your project, it's a really good idea to link that down here, or tell like your prospective employer a way that they could go, a way to find it. Just again, because that shows that you've had different experiences. You've had, you know how to handle big projects. You've had that kind of thing under your belt. So the last thing I want to mention is proofread. You've probably noticed my typing is not the best right now, and I'm going quick. I've misspelled some things. There have been extra capitals, all that. It is so, so, so important to have someone proofread it. Have 2 or 3 people proofread it. Ask your family, just sit down and give them each a copy and a pen and say, make sure this is all okay. I have not had that experience, but I've heard a lot of coworkers or my friends say when they're trying to get a job at Starbucks, at the bookstore, the college bookstore, anywhere in like the resource offices, that kind of thing. If they misspell one thing, if there's just any little mistake, it gets thrown out. They do not get hired. They do not get called back. So it's really, really important to check that all of your information is correct, and that like you've used the right sentence structure, that kind of thing. So that's why I said I want you guys to fill this out and then send it to me, so that you have, I basically am proofreading it for you. That way you have it done, you have it checked, and it's ready for when you go apply for one of those jobs. So last few things I have for you. As you'll see over here, there is an email address. It is very important also to make sure that you have a professional email address. If your email is pineappleprinceesstreefrog@gmail.com, you're probably not going to get hired or emailed or called. So the best way to do that is just make a separate email for jobs if you want. That way you don't have to give up your personal email, but it's still like a professional. Most people would do their first and last name, or first name, last initial, some variation of that is normally the professional way to go. Most jobs will ask for 3 references. Some might ask for a few more. So people that you trust, come up with a list of people that you can ask and make sure that they're okay with being a reference. Most people don't have a problem with that. If they do, then you might not want them being a reference for you anyway. So
if you're struggling to come up with references, you've got at least 3 right here.
Most of this experience and skill stuff, again, is just going to be basically what's called good character, achievements, and accomplishments. Again, just showing that you've had leadership skills, that you're responsible, organized, things that are really important in the professional world. So if you don't have any of these experiences, I would highly encourage you to pursue 1 or 2 of them. Even something as simple as if you go to church, ask if there's some community service stuff that you guys can do there. Your schools will normally have a lot of community service options. Maybe you can help out with the book fair at the elementary school. I know they have one normally every year. I don't know if they'll have it this year, but even asking the leadership around you if there are ways that you can build your resume. A lot of them are going to say like yes, and they'll try to help you figure out what you can do, ways to boost that. So don't be afraid to ask. That's not asking will not get you anywhere. This is something that you really want to make sure is organized and in place for your future. So make sure that you are specific about these things. You don't necessarily, like this was a bad example right here. Don't just say customer service necessarily, because that's kind of vague. You might want to say like specific customer service. So I volunteer at the coffee house. I've taken orders, and so I'm going to put like cash register attendee, like that. You don't want to put a period. Cash register attendee. So you could say customer service, but make it maybe a little bit more specific if you can, like you take orders, or what's it called when you return? You work at the return desk. That's a good one. Lots of people end up, well, not lots of people, but a lot of times when people are returning things, they can be kind of upset. So putting things like that shows just that you're good with working with other people, and you can stay calm under pressure. So that's pretty much all that I have. So we've gone over references. This is where you put your information. Make sure it's accurate. If it's been a while since you've done your resume, go back and make sure that everything is still accurate. You can't just keep using this all the time. If you've had, say you graduate high school before you need this, then what you're going to do, instead of having high school here, if you've moved on to college, you're going to bump it down and you're going to put whatever college you're going to in this place right here. And again, then you would just say pursuing degree, and you would change this to graduated, or like high school diploma. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? No.
There was one question earlier is there going to be an example posted in the Google Classroom? And I was wondering if you had an example, if you wouldn't mind just either sharing it with the NCCCUB, and I'll post that with the assignment. I've got an assignment ready to go for this resume assignment.
Awesome. Yes, I have one mostly filled out here that I wanted to walk you through one by yourself, but I do have one that I'll be able to share and we can post.
Okay.
So. Anything else? Did I completely overwhelm you? You've decided you never want to be an adult and try to get a job? Because I would completely understand. Well, unless Adrian, Dan, or John can think of anything else, that's all I have for you.
The only thing I might add is if you are feeling like, wow, I have nothing to put on this, then it's time to start doing things that you can add to your resume. They don't have to be big. So several times Hannah mentioned her pastor or something that's not even school related. Anytime that you're doing some activity outside of school, something you don't have to do, that's usually something you can add in there. They want to see that you're responsible. People who do things outside of school that they're not required to are responsible.
Yeah.
Babysitting.
Yes, babysitting is a good one. It shows that people trusted you with their small children. That's important. It's a big role.
Yes.
Another thing that you can put under experience, choosing to do the Upward Bound Summer program actually shows initiative. You guys have chosen to take part of your summer and work towards going above and beyond with your educational goals. You're getting work study experience here, so that's something you can put also. And then while you're at it, email Mr. Babin, see if he'd mind being a reference for you. You've worked with him, so that's another quick way to boost that up real quick too. Okay? All good?
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out, working on your resumes. I expect to see your copy of a resume by next Tuesday, and I'll try to get back with you pretty quick about if there's anything to look at. If you want to send it to your group leader too before you send it to me, that's cool. I'm sure they'd be glad to help. But that's what we're here for. So, okay.
Oh, I thought of one thing as well, actually. I have worked in a number of various different industries. If you think about jobs that you might want to be applying for, it might not hurt to ask people in that industry what their resumes look like, because it varies pretty widely. Like if you're doing a resume for a theater company, it looks wildly different probably than a resume for a welding job or a teacher. And those are just things to keep in mind because they require different things.
Okay. Well, have a good afternoon. See you guys next week. And I can't wait to see your resumes.
Thank you, Hannah.